California's Golden Coast is underwritten by the David and Lucille Packard Foundation, who also support the good works done by the following organization.
I have a ton of respect for the ocean. It's like a friend, so you've got to treat it like a friend. We're better. Think about it. The ocean is a source of power. It gives us food, it gives us life and a place to play. It makes our weather, and it gives us barrels.
Well, hello everybody, I'm Huell, and here we are standing by these beautiful bluffs here at Torrey Pine State Beach in San Diego County. It's an absolutely glorious day. Look at the sun and the ocean and this wide open beach here. Our whole adventure is going to be here on this beach. This beach, which is on California's Golden Coast. Well, here we are on this absolutely beautiful early afternoon out here on the beach, and we've already set up this adventure as an adventure that would be spent walking our California's Golden Coast. And here to meet up with us is Richard Nichols. Richard, you are the executive director of an organization called Coastwalk, so
Right.
It's highly appropriate.
Yes, it is.
What is Coastwalk all about?
Okay, Coastwalk is about trying to establish a trail the length of the California coastline.
All right, now
From
let's
the
talk
Oregon
about
state
the
line
coastline. Where are we talking about?
To Mexico.
From Oregon
State
to Mexico.
line to Mexico, right.
How many miles is there?
So it's about 1,150 miles. We don't quite know yet. It depends on where you walk, but roughly 1,150 miles. And you know, the reason we want to do it is that everybody loves the coast, I think. It's a magnificent place to be. We're here in a wonderful place at Torrey Pines Beach, and you know, we just think that it ought to be protected. And we think that a good way to protect it is to have a trail, a way for people to get to the coast. So access to the coast is a very important part of our program. So,
all right, now how much of our California coast has a trail on it that someone could actually walk if they wanted to?
well, it depends partly on how you define things, but about over 60% of the California coast now can be comfortably walked on a beach, on a bluff top, on a pleasant street somewhere in a town, or, you know, there's a lot of variety. The California coast has everything from wilderness areas to cities. And this coastal trail will go through all of it. You can go from redwoods to desert, from a redwood mist forest, you know, a rainforest, to where we are right now, which is basically semi-desert. If we look around here, we'll probably see some cactus.
And do you find that most people know about the ability to walk on the coast? Do a lot of Californians try to get to the coast to do their hiking and their walking?
All right, I don't know if statistics are a good idea here, but 600 million visits a year are coming to the California coast. That's not people, but visits. 600 million.
To the beach, though, mainly.
To the coastline in one form or another.
Yeah.
In terms of people walking laterally along the coastline, a lot of people don't really kind of get that as an option to do. Although you'll see people walking up and down the beach all the time, so they're walking on the coastal trail whether they know it or not. So our job is to make them aware that, hey, if I want to walk to Oregon, or if I want to walk to Mexico, I can do it on this trail.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful idea, you know, even if they don't do it, just the idea that they are connected to something that is so magnificent, you know, as to pass through all of these wonderful scenes.
And that kind of ties our state together.
Right. And, you know, we want it to be as well known as the Pacific Crest Trail and the Appalachian Trail, and we want it to be used, and there's a really good reason for this, and that is we want people to respect and care about the coast. And the way they do that is by coming out here and being on it. It's our coast. It belongs to the people, and we should protect it, and we should enjoy it.
If we can get people to the coast to see it, to enjoy it, to smell it, to taste it, they're going to want to protect it. That's
Right.
the idea of your organization.
Exactly. And you know, as I said, millions of people come to the coast every year, so they already know that it's wonderful. I guess what it amounts to is there needs to be more education about how fragile and how you know, how important it is to save this coast and not pollute it, to not do things that are harmful to it. So that's an important part of this whole thing. So.
Well, we know that the coast is diverse because you and I are not meeting today for the first time. We actually spent a day together many hundred miles north of here. How far north is the Sonoma?
Oh, it's 500 miles north.
At least 500 miles north of here. We spent an afternoon together on the coast, but it was an entirely different look from the look we're seeing right here at Torrey Pines. Let's flash back in time 6 months ago to our afternoon on the northern coast of Sonoma County, way up north. It's still on the California coast, but it's a totally different look and feel than the one we're having right now. Okay, we have started our coastal walk, and this is absolutely, I feel like I'm in some kind of a primeval forest here. This is beautiful.
Well, you know, you're going to be disappointed because you're going to have to stop every few minutes. Every stretch of this trail actually is really gorgeous, and every turn will show you something different, which is what is wonderful about hiking and about being on a trail.
But this is
unfolding.
unexpected.
Yes, unexpected and beautiful, yeah.
Now, Peter, you're the naturalist. You go along on these coast walks. Do you point all this natural beauty out and explain to people like us who don't know what we're seeing?
Yeah, we try to usually have some naturalist or a historian that will talk about the natural history and the trees here. Of course, we're in this beautiful Bishop pine forest, and they're just a spectacular tree, as we can all see here, and they're just one of many of the plant forms that we see along the way. But along this stretch is pretty much where it's forested. It's a Bishop pine forest.
We're walking down the trail, and Linda, you look like you know what you're doing. You got a walking stick there.
Yeah, I'm a hiker. I've been volunteering with Coastwalk for about 10 years. I lead most of the 4 to 6 day camping trips in the Sonoma County stretch.
Now, what got you attracted to this organization in the first place? Had you always been a hiker on these coastal trails?
No, I hadn't been. A couple of my women friends said this sounded like a fun outing. So I went up to Del Norte County and did a hike up there with my friends, and it was just so much fun. The people were so much fun to be with, and the leaders were so involved, and it felt exciting to be part of something that we might actually see happen in our lifetime, a real trail going all the way down the coast. It just seemed like an exciting thing.
Plus, you've got to be excited at almost every turn. Now, we're from Southern California. We're not used to seeing
That's true.
a sight like this.
And I think this is part of the magic of the coastal trail, because it's going to go from wild places in Del Norte County with the big trees through cities, through San Francisco, through Los Angeles, through San Diego, and it's all part of this coastal trail.
Wow.
So people can pick it up anywhere they want. They can hike only in the wild places, or some people who like to do long distance trails will want to start at one end, go all the way to the other, and it's going to be unique.
Look
Because-
at this. Oh my gosh, just looking down the coast and looking through something like this tree that just kind of stands out
Yeah,
as a piece of art.
Yep, and seeing the possibility of the trail going all the way, winding its way along.
Now, this trail exists here along this 6.5 mile area.
It kind
Would
of
you call
exists.
this a trail?
Well, it's a pretty primitive trail, isn't it? The Sonoma Coastwalk kind of has a reputation for having the most primitive trails. A lot of these trails have not been developed as much as other trails.
Let's walk down here. I'm just looking at this tree. Now, this is a Bishop
Bishop
pine. I just learned that from Peter.
Right.
But look how this forms this canopy up above us.
Looks like you could stand under that and not get wet in the rain, doesn't it?
And look out here. Now this is kelp out here.
Yes, Peter was telling me that some of these kelp forests are as much as 75 feet tall or deep. If you were underground, it would be like a forest.
Now, can we walk right out to the edge?
You could, I don't. I get a little nervous around the edges.
Are there rules that you're supposed to follow when you're on a coast walk?
Yes, you stay behind the leader and in front of the sweep, and you follow the leader. We spread out a lot, but we don't want people wandering off by themselves at all.
How many hikers do you have coming through this area? Because this is kind of remote up here.
It varies. Some days we might have 100 to 150 hikers walking these trails. Other days, like today, we're the only hikers out here, probably.
Yeah, this is what's part of it too, is that in California, with over 30 million people living here, you can still go on these trails and be alone.
You can be as remote as you want to be. And that's what's so important about it. People can come here and find peace if they need it. They can find quiet, calm. They can be alone with their thoughts if they want to. There are places like this where they can still do that. Somehow the ocean is so important to all of us.
Now we've reached an impasse. Where are we supposed to go?
Right up the rock face here, just like a mountain goat.
Right up you started to say, you said...
It wasn't quite a trail. It's where the trail actually goes, up the side of the hill.
So now wait a minute, how would anybody who didn't know that this was a trail?
By trial and error.
Lots of trial and lots of error.
They couldn't go around the point, so they'd have to go up the hill.
Now, is this the way a lot of the coastal trail is?
Well, you know, it varies a lot. But one of the real problems is not so much, it's true that a lot of the trail is undeveloped. But part of the problem is money. We actually state parks needs more money to do more trails, to do more trail work. So the short answer is, this is the trail needs work.
Well, we're right along the coast, but what is so interesting about this coastal trail is that we're following the coast, but you're not always like on the water.
Well, we're trying to do a trail as close to the actual shoreline as possible. And then, of course, geography and geology and political, situations, have a lot to do with where the trail actually will be. But this doesn't get any better in terms of...
Now, wait a minute. There's a fork in the trail. We could go this way or we could go this way.
That's a volunteer trail.
What does that mean?
That means someone volunteered to make it, and then they went down onto the bluff because it's a beautiful place to either camp or to go fishing, or actually there's diving access for scuba divers at the base of this bluff.
So there are a lot of trails. There are a lot of choices here.
Exactly, yeah.
Linda, how do you know which choice to make when you're hiking along here?
Well, we have to pre-hike so we can set out the one we want to follow. We don't want the hikers to think we don't know what we're doing. So we make sure we've marked out what we want to do.
What's this pit over here?
Prior to the state taking this over, they dug these pits to determine if they were suitable for building. So when the state bought this was a pit that was left from the late 70s, just before the state of California purchased the land. And they never filled it in.
So if California hadn't purchased this land, there might have been condos all up here.
Somewhat like Sea Ranch, that's correct.
Really, with a lot of houses?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this would be probably a dozen houses in this area where there's now just one restroom building and a little pump shed for the water.
I tell you what, I like seeing that pit a lot better than I like seeing a bunch of houses and condos on this land. It's so quiet in here.
Oh, it really is. Sometimes you can hear birds, but even in the summer when there are people all around, it still feels quiet. It still feels very calm.
Now, when people are back here, does everybody have the same respect for the forest, for the coast walk? You don't have people abusing this.
You have people that like to do adventure off-trail things that kind of make new trails, and that's not too good. It causes erosion. And we do find a few papers along the way that people have dropped, but no, I think people really do have a good respect for this place because it really is taken care of, and there's not very much trash along here. And so, yeah, I think people really do think it's a special place.
We have left the foggy coast of the northern part of Sonoma County. We're back down here now in sunny Southern California at Torrey Pine State Beach. And now it's time to meet this group of people who are kind of back here in the background. There's a real story here, isn't there, Rich?
There is a story, and the story is that on June 3rd, these folks left from the Oregon state line, and they have walked to this point.
So they have walked the entire coastline of California.
Yes, they have, over 1,100 miles so far. In 4 days, they're going to finish their walk at the Mexican border.
Wow, let's get everybody together here because this is quite a feat you all have accomplished for you just a few days away. Yeah. How did this group get together?
Well, most of the group knew each other from Coastwalk activities, but 3 of us were completely new to the whole idea of walking the whole coast. So we met and we started walking.
And how did they hook you into this? Did you know it was going to be 3 months?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I signed up. The whole idea was, to walk the whole coast, and I'm a marine biologist, and it's just a dream summer to walk the whole California coast and see the whole thing. So
what has this been like for you to have this experience?
Totally amazing. I feel like for the rest of my life I'll have this great base of knowledge and 9 new friends, and the California coast is, as we all know, is just incredibly beautiful, but there are thousands of people working to protect it, which is also amazing.
Now, what kind of experiences? Here's the lady we spent the afternoon with in Sonoma County. Your name again?
Huell, I'm Linda Haynes.
I never thought I'd be running into you down here.
Not down here, huh?
What
Left
kind
my
of
county.
experiences have you had on this walk?
Oh, we've had wonderful experiences. We've had times when we were so excited we were running around, and we've seen wildlife.
I guess the question is, y'all come on in here a minute. How tough has this journey been physically?
Oh, at times it's been much tougher than I expected. I mean, rocks, boulders, cliffs, times when the men were having to stand there telling us, okay, put your foot here, now put the next foot there, now put the next foot there, and very, very challenging.
So it's been a physical adventure, very hands-on. I mean, did you come up against something like this and the only way to get over it is to walk over it?
We had places where they had to put a rope that we had to use the rope to go over the saddle. Yes, I'm a Southern California girl. I wasn't expecting this rugged Northern California coast.
Isn't that interesting how set in our minds we are about the coast and about the beach, depending upon where we live and what our beach experiences have been in California?
Well, I've lived my whole life in Southern California, and I'm used to these broad sandy beaches. I'm used to going out and going for a walk along the beach. So when I thought I was spending my summer walking down the California coastline, I expected to be walking along the, my perception of, this. And it wasn't this. Well, I didn't know there were so many mountains right up to the coast. Just incredible.
Well, welcome home.
Welcome
to
home.
Southern California.
And it feels good, and I love my broad sandy beaches.
Anybody else got any stories they want to tell us about walking the coast?
Oh, we could tell you about coming down to San Francisco from the Marine Headlands, and we got down to where the bridge is. We walked across the San Francisco Bridge, and it was absolutely wonderful.
So your experience on this trip was not all in rural, remote areas. You were walking through San Francisco. Tomorrow you're going to be down in San Diego.
It's always along the coast, or as close to the coast, so we don't necessarily walk through the center of town. But certainly in San Francisco, we walked along by the Presidio. We slept one night on the Presidio there, and it was really windy.
And were there a certain amount of miles you had to make every day? Or what if you came across a place that you just wanted to stop and soak in the ambiance?
There was time to do that, but most of the time we had a set amount of miles that we had to do, and sometimes we had to meet people for river crossings, and so we would have to make sure that we walked fast enough. But there was time to stop.
You were crossing over rivers that flowed into the ocean.
That's right. We've been on airboats, motorboats, canoes, and kayaks.
Oh my gosh.
No paddle boats yet, though.
Did you fish along the way? Did you catch your own fish, or did you?
No fishing. No time to fish.
Yeah, you were too busy.
But we ate fish that other people caught.
I got you.
At the Klamath River, we had a wonderful barbecue with
You had
salmon.
salmon.
Yes.
Wow, this has been such a learning experience for
It's
everybody.
been a great learning experience. I've had the most wonderful summer learning about this coast. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to see it foot by foot, and that's what I've done, and it's been great. It's a magnificent coast. It's really worth preserving.
Now, how depressing is it? Let's get everybody together here. This is how many people made this trip?
10 of us.
So this is the hardcore bunch right here. Everybody get in here.
Hardcore, that's right.
Have you given yourselves a name yet? Is there a name for this group of 10 people?
Coastal Trail Expedition 2003.
Oh gosh, that's a mouthful.
I know it is. So we shortened it to CTE03.
Now, did everybody get along on this trip?
Well, you know, like any family,
You're going like this, you're going like this.
We had our disagreements, but we had a mechanism to work things out. When we had a disagreement, we sat down and we talked it out, and we decided what would be best for the group, and then we proceeded. So we're like a family that has
works out their problems.
Yeah, we work it out.
And how practical is what you all did? How many of us watching this, we can't take 3 months off and do this?
Well, I think the idea is that the California Coastal Trail is 1,200 miles long, and people can join into any part of it. You can walk a mile, you can walk a half mile, you can walk for 2 days, you can walk for a week, you can sign up with Coastwalk and do a week-long trip. Or if you're crazy enough, like all these people, you can just pack up your bags and walk the whole darn thing over the course of one summer or any time of the year. So, you know, that's the beauty of this trail, is it's in all of our backyards. Everybody who lives in California, you know, this trail is in our backyard. So just walk out and do it, and then take a swim at the end of the day. Yeah. And it's great.
It's here for everybody to enjoy in little bits and pieces.
Little segments, so little local trails up and down the coast join together, make a big trail, but everyone has a little trail somewhere that they can get out on.
And without being too preachy about all of this, what is it you think we can learn by spending more time on the coast?
Well, the first thing is that you can be healthier. I mean, just spending time walking on the coast or running in the waves or swimming in the waves makes you healthier.
Yeah.
Second thing is that there's this interaction which is really living between the land and the ocean, and it changes all the time. And it's so much fun to come back to a place you've been and see how it's changed. Sometimes you don't like the changes, but they're changing all the time.
Wow. Everybody agree?
Everybody agree, and some of the changes we've seen when we've been walking here in Southern California, we may come back, there may be some houses that are gone.
Yeah, come and just wash right off the coast.
We've seen them already. They're just hanging there over the edge.
And I don't want to be negative about all this, but have you seen things along the way that got you depressed about the way we're misusing our coast?
There have been some spots. Overall, I'd say our coast is stunningly beautiful. We're doing a really good job protecting it, thank goodness. There have been some spots where, you know, the harbors are polluted, where the population is really dense, where the coast is being armored with seawalls and stuff. That's really, really kind of depressing. And, you know, you sense it in the group when you're going through those areas that our morale gets down. And when we're walking through the wilderness, you know, we can get into arguments, but then you just look out and it changes your attitude when you see the, you know, bear tracks on the beach, or beautiful clean ocean, or you know, redwoods. And so, you know, it's a powerful thing to have a healthy coast, and it really makes you feel good.
Well, do you all plan on going back to your respective communities now and doing missionary work for the rest of your lives? Is that the deal?
Yeah, for the rest of my life, absolutely.
Yeah.
I plan on working to save the California coast for the rest of my life.
You're going to be a missionary?
Yes, different type of sand up in Morongo Valley.
Yeah. Oh, you're from the desert.
Yeah, we're from the desert.
But you can promote the coast in the desert.
Yeah, I'll give it a try.
You going to be a missionary?
Yes, definitely. I'm much more aware of the connection of how the whole ocean affects all of California.
Yeah. You've been awfully quiet.
Yes, we're all missionaries. We've been converting folks all along, and they're already converted because they're out on the trail. Baby carriages, bicycles, walking.
So you've been doing missionary work along the way.
That's correct.
You're kind of modern day Johnny Appleseeds along the coast.
We've been passing out our flyers and talking to people, and quite a lot of press have come by too and written stories about us, so that's helped, especially when the articles appeared before we got to somebody's town. Then as we walked through town or along the beach, people would wave.
So you all are celebrities.
Yes, we're walk stars.
You're what?
We're walk stars.
Well, congratulations. You all have done something that very few people are able to do in their lives. Walk the entire 1,100 miles of our California coast. But we can all do it in little bits and pieces. And you have brought this new awareness of how wonderful our coast is to all of us. Let's get together, all 10 of you. There they are, the coast walkers, the walk stars. Here on the beach in Southern California, they started all the way up on the Oregon border. They're going all the way to Mexico, along the way spreading cheer and information for all of us about the wonder of California's Golden Coast. Give us a wave. They did it. Okay, there it is. The sign says it all. Coastal Trail to Mexico or bust. So they're off. There they go. The final leg. Good luck. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser, and I sure hope you enjoyed this adventure on California's Golden Coast. And if you'd like to go on this adventure again, share it with family or friends, or perhaps donate a copy to your local school or library, well, it's available on DVD. All you have to do is call 1-800-266-5727, and we'll be glad to send it to you right away.